Hello and welcome to Growth Strategy. I'm Alyssa Evans. Today's guest is Dr. Christiane Schroeter, and we talk about how she moved from Germany to the United States with a Fulbright Scholarship and built a framework that helps leaders get results without burning out. We talk about her Petite Practice method, the idea that small intentional steps done consistently will always beat forcing yourself through the systems that do not fit. We talk about why so many high achievers are doing everything right on paper, but still something feels off and what's actually going on beneath the surface. We talk about confidence versus clarity and which one you actually need to work. And we talk about what 10,000 professionals have taught her about the difference between people who stay stuck and people who finally move forward. Let's get into it. Dr. Christiane, welcome to Growth Strategy. Welcome to Growth Strategy. Whether you're scaling a business, thinking about starting a side hustle, or you're a stay-at-home parent ready to build even more in your life, this is for you. We challenge the roadblocks, reframe the obstacles, and give you real tools to start building a more intentional life. It takes a village. Welcome to ours. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm really excited to be here, Alyssa, and
Yes.
audience. Of course, this is the perfect time. Growing is always something we desire, and I'm going to give you some really good strategies to tie in the name of this fantastic podcast to keep growing and going.
Thank you so much. Okay, awesome. Well, you have Petite Practice, so I want to start there because I think you have a very, you have a very, it's a very like welcoming way to approach very big goals because I think goals can be so overwhelming in what we're trying to achieve. So let's start about Petite Practice, what inspired it, and then go from there.
Fantastic. Yeah, I work at the intersection, if you think about like three different Venn diagrams of leadership, behavioral sciences, and execution. And that intersection in the middle is really where petite practice comes in. Because most people actually don't struggle with strategy, they struggle really with consistency. So I help leaders break down big priorities into small, practical steps. And petite practice translated small, petite French, right? Practice is really something you can apply every day, and at the same time, it still is small enough so that in times of pressure, it will actually stick and lead to progress.
Okay. And then can you give us just a history of your background and like how you came about, you know, building all of this?
Yeah. So I earned a PhD in the United States, came here actually from Germany. And the beautiful thing after you earned your PhD is you're so into doing research that to this day, even now, this is now 25 years ago, I'm super passionate about always combining research in my work. I have now published 4 books and translating it in a way that it actually makes it practical for everybody to use. So I really focus on leadership strategies and in general, really something that you can use in your day-to-day life to make your life just a little better and a little easier. And my latest book, Step Into Your Voice, really translates that nicely too, because I think deep down, we all want to be seen and heard, and we sometimes struggle figuring out what's really special about us. I call it our superpower. And I think that is as I went through the journey of earning my PhD, of working now in academia, of building my business and appearing on the TEDx stage, on summits, on podcasts, I had a lot of opportunity to step into my own voice. And that is
Mm.
something I really enjoy sharing now with others.
Yeah. I feel like that's really hard nowadays to share your voice. I feel like I mean, it's so easy for people to, I guess, judge one another because of the internet, you know? And or it's very intimidating to share your voice. So what would you recommend to somebody that's working on that has a lot of feelings and they feel like they can contribute, but they don't know how to take that step? to share?
I think the easiest way for you to think about it is your mess should be your message. Because
Mhm.
frequently we think we should only share our voice when we accomplish something big. And it puts a lot of pressure on us. Where in reality, everybody is struggling. So why not just share the day-to-day life, mundane struggle, and resonate with people that are experiencing the same issue? So if you have something that you are struggling with, or more importantly, struggled with, let's say 5 years ago, you're actually your best ideal client by sharing how you overcame that struggle and maybe even looking at the journey of transformation. That is really how you can step into your voice. So your mess should become your message. And you can't believe how good it feels when you come from this point of, I've been there, I've done that. So let me tell you what helped me. And I would love to help you too. Because at the end of the day, when you are a business owner and especially an entrepreneur, you should always think in service of others. And that's really the goal of it. When you step into your voice, what is it that others can learn from you? What's really your message and your aim?
Yeah. And I think, yeah, I don't think we put enough, like honor in our challenges, you know, like we go through a lot and then we're just like, oh, I think oh my gosh, I've struggled for the past 5 years and it's been really hard and I don't feel like I've gotten anywhere. But in reality, like you're a very different person than you were 5 years ago. And I think reflection is a huge part of that. Is there any sort of reflection questions that you ask yourself to have like more of a positive reframe for those challenges that you overcome?
Yeah, I actually just did that yesterday with some clients. So instead of like sitting there and just dwelling over it, just use this
Mhm.
prompt. Ask yourself, what are the two biggest life changing events that happened during the past 5 years? And then you can even single it down to one of them. Like, think about one event that you feel really changed who you are today and really shows off some of that superpower, your character traits of who you have become. And especially if you look back 5 years, depending on what lifestyle you are in right now, those 5 years might have completely changed your trajectory. So if I think back 5 years, my children were much younger and I was in
Mm.
a completely different stage of my life. And we sometimes don't honor enough that this reflection, this examination is actually what gives us the motivation to keep going forward because we always tend to look just forward and making the next plans and looking at the calendars and scheduling ahead. But this reflection back and thinking, what was the biggest life changing moment and how did I overcome it? And why is it so important in my life? That's kind of really neat because it opens up the door to yourself and how your character was built with resilience and with grit during that time.
Yeah, that is so true. I'm just thinking about like where was I 5 years ago? I only had one kid and now I have three. And
Yeah,
it's felt very messy, I gotta say.
that's good.
But you
Yeah.
know what? Now we have a very full family and it is messy, but that's okay because it's full of, it's full of love, and I mean, pregnancy and stuff is hard, but when kids are tough to it's tough, without
Mhm.
sleep and stuff, but it's also it's so rewarding. Like you have to think about the rewards that you want, everything, how beautiful it is and how lucky you are to have those opportunities. But
Yeah, so your message there, I love that you just did that reflection. Could be 5 years ago, we had one child and now we have three. So let me share with you my transition from having one child and now three, and the moments of joy, the struggles, and the transformation that goes along with it. I mean, that's a really cool message if you think about that. And it's
mhm.
also something that a lot of other people will be in the same situation. So you could really share something with others and maybe even give them some tips and tricks of something that you felt really helped you to arrive where you are right now. I think that sometimes we overthink our message, where in reality, the day to day life, the petite little practices are really what resonate with people because they are the authentic struggles
Mhm.
that they experience, the little obstacles that become an opportunity to share.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm so interested in your clients and how you help them and how do you remind yourself to reflect, I
Mm.
guess, and how often.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think it helps to kind of learn a little bit about yourself and start treating yourself like you are your own best friend. And think when you have that self talk, which I have quite self talk and I have loud self talk. I think that sometimes I walk around and I talk to myself, and I have
Yeah.
absolutely no problem with that.
No.
I think it ties in with their reflection too,
Yeah.
to where you need to think a little bit about, like, all right, so how do I feel today? What is really something that I need today? And how can I thrive today? And don't treat yourself like you wouldn't treat your best friend. Just honor that there are days where you may be feeling depleted, and there are days where you feel okay, and there are days where you feel great. I mean, I kind of call it the rules of three. We have great days, we have okay days, we have days where maybe it's just not going to work out. Don't put that pressure on that third day where things are just not going to work out. So you always have to keep things in perspective. And for myself, I kind of reflect when I wake up, and I think a little bit of, like, all right, so how do I feel today? What's going to be the best strategy? And I'm also openly sharing it. I tell my family, all right, so here we go. I didn't sleep very well. I'm a little bit tired. I'm feeling the rain is affecting me. And then I tell my students too, I'm like, yeah, if you notice something that I forgot, just let me know. And I let my clients know too. I'm like, well, maybe my energy is a little off today. That's just how things are. And I think that's honest. And all what you can ever do is just communicate who you are with others so that they don't take it personally, which sometimes people really do. But
Yeah.
just letting them know this is where I'm at today. This is what I need today. And I'm just letting you know. And I think that showing that open face is really the best step for a good communication with others.
Yeah. Definitely. That's what I just I give my family a rundown, like, "All right,
Yeah.
team meeting." I think it's good though because everyone's on the same page and everyone's connecting and everyone can work towards, I guess, the common goal for everything. For I guess for I want to talk about your TED Talk and how you so that is a huge accomplishment to do a TED Talk. How was that experience? How did you feel? Were you nervous? What was the preparation like? How was how was it with the crowd? All of everything. I don't know, a lot of things.
Yeah, there's only one word that describes all this, Alyssa. It's intense. Intense.
Mhm.
The audience, if on your bucket list is to give a TED Talk, don't be hard on yourself. It's extremely intense. Some of the people that were in the same event with me had applied to hundreds of events before they got accepted.
Wow.
And for me, it was just my second application. So I felt very honored and blessed that I was
Yeah.
chosen so quickly.
Yeah.
But I think, to be honest with you, intense preparation, intense selection process leading up to it. When I stood on that stage, and you kind of see it in the video when you really look at me, I just felt like home. I felt
Yeah.
so confident and so happy to be there. And you can see it when you see the video. I'm just
Mm.
like, yeah, this is where
Yeah, you like
I want to be. So I'm already
yes.
getting ready to apply to my next talk, because for me, the preparation was just actually pure joy. I loved it. I loved it.
That's amazing. It's hard to, yeah, think of one thing and encapsulate all of that, the writing process for that. Did you have a certain process for writing with that, or how did you approach it? Like, well, you have one real message that you have to get across. So, how did you approach that?
That's a really great question. The writing is actually much more work than a lot of people think, because you write something, but then at the end of the day, audience, keep in mind, you need to memorize that whole talk, right? So
Mhm.
when I stood on that stage, I was giving a 15-minute talk from full memorization in front of 1,000 people. So when you write it and when you memorize it, there is a big gap in between, because sometimes when you are in that memorization stage, things just don't really sit right. Like it's just you always get to that same point and you get stuck. And then you need to go back and rewrite it. Because you know that if it's that hard to memorize it, you're going to be on that stage and it's going to be maybe a point where you're going to get stuck on stage.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like, driving a Jeep down like a bumpy road. You know that there are going to be bumps because you look through that front window, but you can still kind of like steer around some of these really big bumps and make sure that you navigate things smoothly. It's definitely something that's speaking of the Jeep and the bumpy road, it's definitely a journey that is windy and not linear. There were days when I was like, I knew this yesterday. I know I knew this yesterday. And today I can't remember it at all.
Yeah. It's like
Windy,
that
windy.
block.
Sometimes it's one step forward and two steps back, like, all right. This is
Yeah. Serious. Oh, that's impressive. I know how hard it is to write things, or just like write anything, and whatever class or anything to take it. You never, and you want to use the right language, or it's just it's challenging, and it's beautiful how that you can create such a powerful message in such a short time that can really resonate.
It's kind of like prepping for a marathon, to be honest with you. It's really like that. It's a very different lifestyle that you have to start leading, the way
Mhm.
that you prepare. You don't do this just like winging it on a weekend or in an evening. It's a really big time commitment, the whole preparation leading up to it. And again, like I can only compare it to like a marathon or an Ironman or Ironwoman, anything like that, to where
Yeah.
the moment you start applying, you have to think every petite practice, every small step that will then lead to that event. And this
Mhm.
is really important, audience and Alyssa. It's really important to not just manifest the moment when you stand on the stage and give a great talk or the moment when you step off the stage and gave a great talk. It's really important to manifest in your mind the moments, the mornings when you wake up and you're really tired, but that you manifest in your brain what are you going to do on those days when you're really tired, but you still have whatever 4 pages to memorize, right? That's
Mhm.
really important to memorize because the more you manifest days that are a struggle, the easier it is for you to understand that winning is hard. Winning is really something that requires a lot of resilience and grit. And the more you think about those moments, the easier this whole preparation is going to be.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I talk about resilience a lot, like with I mean, with my clients, I talk about resilience and like for me, it's like I always say like content compounds because I come from like a marketing and like all of your moments compound. And so when I was watching your TED talk about petite practice, I'm like, yes, like that is like all these little steps make a motion, like a movement. And even if like you necessarily can't work on something right now and sit and look, let's say like look at the script or memorize it, you can walk around,
Right.
vacuum, you can do dishes, you can say it out loud in your head. And even if it doesn't feel like you're actively, physically working on it, you can mentally and emotionally prepare yourself. And I think that's where kind of it's a challenge because it's almost like I don't know want to say it's a reframe, but you do have to look at those moments that you're not actively working on it as productive because you're putting in that time, you're putting in that energy, you're putting in that schedule to make that bigger thing happen.
Oh, completely. I completely agree with you. And I think that the more you give yourself grace about how you can prepare, the easier it
Mhm.
is for you to be. Because I love your
Yeah.
comparison that you said you can also practice while you do dishes or whatever. That is just something that you will have to get used to. You don't always have an hour of time to sit down and memorize, right? I
Mhm.
mean, I'm a mom, I work full time, I write books, I have clients. I'm also a fitness instructor. So there's just
Oh my
all
gosh,
these
you
little
do
things.
everything.
It's kind of like those artists in a circus that have these sticks with the plates that are spinning. You can just
Yeah.
drop all the plates to start like this TEDx preparation. It doesn't work this
Wow.
way. So what you need to think about is what are small moments of time or petite practices I can add consistently to my schedule. So even on a super packed day, I can maybe crank 15 or 5 minutes even of preparation so that on the next day I know I did something. It wasn't an hour, but it was 15 minutes. So that's amazing. So every day, just consistently practicing is really where you see the progress is going to stick.
Yeah. Do you have because I noticed during the I have for this, I guess, part. When I look at my schedule, I'm like, I am most talkative around this time of day. I'm more reflective during, the afternoons and towards the night. Do you have any tips for people to kind of schedule around and their peak moments for being productive? Because I think that's also powerful too. Like we can't just if you need to be really reflective first thing in the morning, sometimes it's really hard when you're trying to get the kids to school or something. Like what are your tips for somebody trying to fit that into their schedule and
Beautiful.
to look at it constructively?
I think the number one tip would be that you kind of keep nearly like a time diary, even if it's just like for one day.
Yeah.
And for me, like I got this Aura ring here for Thanksgiving on the Black Friday deal. And honestly, not tell your audience that for years and years, I was thinking this a complete like gadget. And it's like, oh, what I don't need this in my life. It will teach you so much about yourself, about moments of reflection, about moments of downtime. And it will even write this in a very nice, encouraging, educational language that you actually get better in scheduling time when you maybe need reflection or maybe when you need interaction, etc. So that is the one thing. Just look at more data. And it could be even an Apple Watch or an Oura Ring or anything like that. I think they have a bracelet too, which I mean, for me, I have the ring and the watch, and that's great. The
Mhm.
second thing that will help with that time diary is also that you maybe identify moments when you could be productive but you are doing a lot of context switching. So you have your notifications on your phone and on your computer, and maybe there's even a door, a window open, and you hear noise from the outside and it's keeping distracting you.
Mhm.
So if you feel that is my productive time, I would really encourage be as efficient and be as protective of that time as possible and don't have a million other things then that are going on at the same time. To me, that is my number one tip really, because we are not, I mean, we all have 24 hours. Nobody has
Mhm.
more time than others. The trick is just to be efficient with the time that we have. And we also need to get good at saying no to things that maybe get added to our plate or somebody asks us and we feel about saying no to that person. So creating boundaries around that very efficient time is really what's the trick.
I Yeah, that's definitely a hard thing too. How to say no? How do you
Yeah,
how do you teach your clients how to say no? Because sometimes like they're like, oh, I have this thing and it's really important, and but it's not really serving them in the larger picture.
completely. Yeah, I think that the main goal is to just figure out where are you performing your best, when are you performing your best, and then really optimize that and make yourself, like kind of like in an airplane, right? Take care of yourself, put your breathing mask on, because the more you optimize yourself and what you do, the more you can serve the people around you, and they're going to enjoy more hanging out with you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my first TEDx talk led to the book that if you're watching this right now is right behind me, the Step Into Your Voice book. And it was actually just launched a month ago. I launched it on National Cookie Day, just early December. And I figured that's a beautiful way to think about it's a cookie and it's a book. It's a small cookie and it's a beautiful book. And
Mhm.
at the same time, that book will also help you if you are trying to step into your own voice. It heavily has my best tips and tricks and my worksheets and even some fun word searches in there that you can use to make 2026 your year. So that is on my Amazon shop. And if you are kind of like trying to figure out what you're really good at, just take my free quiz, Discover Your Superpower. That is linked in the show notes and also on my website. And of course, You can always connect with me too if you have follow-up questions, and I would love to guide you in the right direction.
Christiana, thank you so much for being here. I think what makes this conversation really powerful is the permission that it gives you to stop forcing things. And it's to realize that the small, consistent steps aren't the slow path at all. They're actually the fastest way to lasting change. And it just makes those, even if you can do something small today, that is moving the needle forward. And that is a beautiful sentiment to getting towards your goals. So go ahead and check out Petite Practice. Go to drchristiana.com and please follow her for more information. She is amazing. Thank you so much. Again, thank you so much again. Thank you for listening. And that's a wrap on this episode of Growth Strategy. But before you go, I just wanted to say that I am so glad that you are here. This community is built on real people doing real things, and that includes you. So if something from today's episode hit home, save it, share it, or pass it along because it really does take a village. And if you're ready to grow even more, sign up for some more resources over at growyourstrategy.co. Follow us on social media at Grow Your Strategy, and we can keep cheering you on. Until next time, keep growing. Bye, friend.